life is tough, but Hollow Knight is tougher, and we're not giving you a break as we reveal one secret after another in Hornet's adventure through Silksong. Enjoy the serenade by hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel, and turning on notifications. These are the 25 secrets in Hollow Knight Silksong. Hollow Knight isn't hard enough? Well, at least according to its creators, because they've included a secret hardcore mode. To unlock it, head to the extras menu and input up, down, left, right, a nod to the Konami code. This activates the Steel Soul mode, similar to the original game where dying means permanent game over. The map of Hollow Knight Silksong was very different before reaching its final form. Early development images show an area called Coral Forest, which appeared in Silksong's first trailer but eventually became Karak Sands. Sharp, one of the bosses from Silksong's Kickstarter, was also cut from the final release. By the way, if you don't buy the feather from Chakra to track your progress, you can later steal it from Trovio Studio, giving you a red feather. If you skip the feather entirely until Act 3, you can obtain a purple one during your second battle with Trovio. The world of Hollow Knight Silksong feels alive for many reasons, and here's a great one. When you defeat an ant enemy, ants will carry away the remains. They're not eating them though. They're imitating a real ant behavior called necrophoresis, where dead ants are carried off to prevent the spread of fungi, bacteria, or viruses in the colony. There are many ways to speak with the dead, but we've never seen Hornet's method before. If you play music with the needle in at certain locations, you can hear whispers from the deceased. You can also play it near living characters who may join you in song. Playing the needle in front of an enemy briefly reveals a thread possessing it. Additionally, if you play the needle in at stations, the Bell Beast appears, and if you continue playing, it will sing along with Hornet. Think Silksong is a 2D game? Think again! Hollow Knight Silksong is fully modeled in 3 dimensions, which you can see by unlocking the game's camera. Hornet is placed as the primary layer, with multiple layers behind and in front, enhanced by blur effects to create depth. So you've been fooled all this time! Alright, fine, Hollow Knight Silksong is pretty tough, and perhaps that's why some Steam users created an uncommon mod, one that makes the game easier. This caused quite a stir among players who felt it betrayed the creator's intended challenge. However, Team Cherry soon followed up with an official update that eased the game's initial section, admitting it was perhaps a bit too tough. What's your take? Hollow Knight Silksong took 7 years to finally arrive on consoles and PC, but for good reason, or at least a reason exists. Team Cherry took their time. In an interview, they clarified nothing went wrong with development, they simply enjoyed making the game at their own pace. They did break one promise though, the game never released on the Wii U, despite initial plans. If you venture through an area with limited visibility called the Mist, you're experiencing a tribute inspired by the Lost Woods from Nintendo's The Legend of Zelda. It shares the same mechanics. Paths don't consistently lead to the same place, making it tricky to exit. To find your way, play the needle in near glowing butterflies that guide you in the right direction. In such a bleak place, this charming feature is most welcome. Hornet can purchase a home in Bellheart. Leave her sitting on the bed, and she'll lie down for a nap or leisurely browse the map while relaxing. If you need to earn rosaries for your own home, help Loam move the conveyor in the Citadel for Pharloom's minimum wage. Visit him in Act 3, and unfortunately, you'll find him deceased. You can skip certain bosses in Hollow Knight Silksong if specific conditions are met. Locate the Flea Caravan to transport you further along the map. If there's a boss like Morwing on the way, you'll encounter it later elsewhere. After defeating it, you'll find it tied to one of the Flea Caravans. There's an optional storyline that reveals Hornet without her cloak, or, well, without any clothes at all. If the jailer manages to catch you with his cage, he'll take away all your belongings, including your clothes, and take you to the city's prison known as the Slab. This rather peculiar moment might be a reference to Bloodborne, where players captured by a snatcher awakened in Hypogean Goal. After defeating a boss, if you return later, you might encounter New. This character is dedicated to studying the fauna of Hollow Knight Silksong's world and wants you to gather plenty of monster data for him. Occasionally, you might even catch him conducting some field research. During one of your early encounters with Lace, she calls Hornet Little Spider, a subtle nod to Hornet calling Hollow Knight's protagonist Little Ghost. The knight isn't physically present in Silksong, but his spirit certainly is. There's a small detail in one cinematic you might have missed. After Act 2, during a cinematic descending into the abyss, a cursor appears briefly on screen. This oversight by Team Cherry happened late in development, placing Silksong among other titles like Pokemon Sword and Shield that featured similar mishaps. If Hornet decides to relax by taking a private bath in the Flea Caravan, you'll notice there's a gap at the top. If you wait, you'll see Krat the Flea slowly peeking down to spy on Hornet. You can even hit him with your Needlin. If you do, he'll apologize outside afterward, promising never to charge you for entering the caravan again. Unfortunately, Hornet has to deal with more than one creeper on her journey, often resorting to forceful measures. If you press the right stick, Hornet will shout out something incomprehensible. But many players have heard it as guarana, a vitamin-rich stimulant fruit. In truth, this action is just taunting enemies. If Hornet is armed with chakra rings, she will shout something different.
Pushanka! 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 Pushanka!
There are various ways to complete Hollow Knight Silksong, each featuring unique special events. Depending on your chosen path, NPC characters like Chakra or Garmin and Zaza may assist you in battles, joining your side against enemies and making each playthrough slightly different. If you sit on a beach upon first arriving in Bellheart, save, and then shut off the console, you'll get a surprise upon restarting. Hornet will be hanging from a web, just like the other residents of Bellheart, a clever fourth wall breaking event emphasizing the game's living, evolving world. This event is exclusive to this specific action at that exact moment. There's a Silksong character based on a real person, Shrine Guardian Seth. His origins trace back to a fan's drawing by Seth Goldman, who sadly passed away in 2019. Before dying, Seth contacted Team Cherry, asking them to include his character design. 6 years later, upon the game's completion, they added him as a hidden boss in Act 3 near the Grand Gate. Unlike other bosses, Seth doesn't vanish after defeat. He tells Hornet his job is done and goes to rest with the fleas after a long, hard life. There's a quest called the Terrible Tyrant that triggers a terrible event in Bone Bottom. Upon completion, returning to town triggers another Tyrant Skull who rampages through the inhabitants. After defeating it, returning later reveals a funeral being held for a fallen pilgrim. Nobody knows his name, yet they say their goodbyes nonetheless. There is a way to save this character, and if you speak to him enough, he'll reveal his name is Pilby. Later, he'll move on to Pilgrim's Rest, continuing his journey. If you let the Rhino Grunt escape during your battle in far fields, you'll encounter it again elsewhere, provided you take certain actions. At Pilgrim's Rest, you normally have to pay to enter a shop, but you can break the mechanism and avoid paying afterward. If you've done this, after battling the Rhino Grunt, it'll show up in Mort's shop, triggering an additional fight. Hopefully, it'll remember to close the door next time. Steel Soul mode is obviously challenging, but it also features a hidden boss whose unique twist is preventing Hornet from healing. You must defeat it without taking a single rest, as healing is completely disabled, an ultimate test to Hollow Knight's best players. Sherma is one of Silksong's most beloved characters, adored for her cute singing. So much so that fans have created YouTube remixes. Throughout the game, you'll find her in various locations, always singing, even while bathing in water or trembling during the White Ward quest. Sherma's initial singing by the gates references Hornet's ability to open doors by playing the Needlin as the adventure progresses. If you hand the bile water parasite to Grey Root of Shellwood, she'll implant it within you, making you its host. This prevents you from healing or using crests until Yarnaby helps remove it. If you manage to fight Grandmother Silk, you'll trigger a secret ending where Hornet becomes trapped due to the parasite. There's another secret ending involving Mr. Mushroom, who first appeared in Hollow Knight, sending players on a quest to collect hidden mushrooms around the map. Completing it showed Mr. Mushroom flying off, followed by by the text, "To be continued." In Silksong, Mr. Mushroom repeats this task. Successfully completing it unlocks a hidden endgame sequence showing Mr. Mushroom continuing his mysterious journey, once again ending with, "To be continued." Team Cherry included a nod to one of 2025's most popular games. If Hornet strikes a needle at Raven Nest Karn, floating text will appear reading, "For those who come after." This references a recurrent phrase and main theme from Clair Obscur Expedition 33, reflecting mutual admiration between developers. Both teams even shared artwork of the protagonists from Silksong and Clair Obscur seated together on a bench. There's also a tribute to Metroid during the Bell Eater fight, whose design closely resembles the Great Worm from Metroid Zero Mission for Game Boy. Castlevania fans aren't forgotten either. Hornet's moves resemble Alucard's, and there's a confessional without apparent purpose, echoing Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Don't give up now. Continue exploring more secrets in these other videos. Don't forget to subscribe to stay updated. Thanks for watching. See you next time.